love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am super excited about this next guest. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's doing some big, big things out there in the business space, and she has all of this massive expertise. And today I am with Lea Woodford, and I'm so excited to have you on, Lea.
Oh, it is my pleasure, Ann. I'm excited to finally be able to talk to you about this because this is my passion.
Well, she's going to give you the gold. We're not just going to talk about it. She is going to give away the gold. And she also has a great giveaway for you at the end of this. So today we're going to be talking about building and monetizing a power brand / luxury brand, because Lea does work in the luxury space. I don't know if you follow her, but if you don't, you should. She has a magazine. She is getting ready to put, I think Robert Kiyosaki is going to be on her next magazine cover. So she's out there in the world. She works with celebrities. She is just brilliant at what she does. So Lea, thank you again for being here. And why don't you just give everyone just a little bit of your backstory so they can understand where your expertise really lies and how you got to this place?
Oh, sure. Well, I am a recovering media personality. Like everybody, I was displaced after COVID. My Amazon Prime TV show was canceled because they were getting free content from all the major studios. But prior to that, I had created Speaker Life in 2019, which is a digital and print magazine, just to get on stages. Little did I know that it was going to actually create a new business for me. I just did it to get on stages, and it worked like gangbusters. But I guess the word got out, and I found that I just love print and branding, and there's just a cachet, and there's something about the tangibility of print that I just love.
100% agree. And we know that we're in a marketplace now where you have to build a personal brand. Even big companies are finding out they have to build brands online. It can't just be all advertising. And the thing that I love about what we're going to talk about is she's going to give you multiple ways to start building up those assets, that brand, and then also to make money. And Lea, I think it's interesting, that found you, right? And so through adversity, there's always something that so powerfully comes out of that we did not expect. So you should welcome challenges, because that's where the greatest things happen.
Well, it's through the struggle that we really find the gold. I mean, it really, and it's not success that we learn from. It's from failures or redirects. Like this was simply a redirect. Yes. Okay, I have an Amazon Prime show that's gone. So what do I do next? And then all of a sudden the phone started ringing. And then I realized I really love magazines, because who's on magazines? Celebrities, thought leaders, really powerful people. And there's only 7,500 of them in the US. That means there's a lot of room for more magazines. So I have no competition. And that's how I see it.
I love it.
And it's fun, but there's just something magical. People ask me all the time, how do you get celebrities and thought leaders on your magazines? It's simple. I ask. I ask.
And they're willing to come on.
They are, because they're magazines. There's a cachet with them because they're so permanent. Mm-hmm. And there's a recent study, I can't remember which media company did the study, but people who read magazines, they believe 78% more if it's in print than they do digitally.
Oh, that's really interesting, but that makes sense. Absolutely.
It does. So these, of course, are digital and print, mm-hmm. but I just, when I started doing magazines and people started coming to me, I realized, wow, they really don't have a brand. And you have to have a brand to do magazines. So that's when I usually just hold back on branding for only people who do magazines. And then my coach goes, what are you doing? You're leaving money on the table, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're kind of right. So, and I love it. The branding process is so fun because it's really clarity, and it's fun to see the light bulb go off for people because they're so close to what they do. They can't see the forest from the trees.
So true. And it's really hard also to navigate all the things, right? There's so much out there. People get really, really confused. One of the things that I really want to dive into with you is the power, like people don't realize that in marketing, there's the power brand which is the foundation for your business. It's building out those assets that are the long game. And then there's also the short-term marketing. You have a couple of events that I think you've just filled or you're getting very close to filling. And that's your income coming in. That is your cash flow. And people don't realize that it takes both of those things. You have to be making offers. You have to be selling things. That's the short-term marketing. But then you also have to be building and establishing a presence, a brand, again, those assets. So what would you say to someone who wants to start a magazine, but they don't really have a big following? Is it the right thing for them, or should they wait and build their audience and build their following?
It really kind of, I used it as a lead gen to get my list. That was my whole reason to use it. So it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be. I would say it also depends on, what they do for a living. Because I do everything from financial planning to health and wellness magazines. So it kind of depends on the gamut. But what I really love about it is with the magazine, it allows you to connect with people that have databases and to interview them. And if you put them on a cover, you can bet they're going to share it.
Yes, absolutely.
And especially like with Speaker Life, they mail these, they get copies of them and they mail them to event planners along with their Speaker One sheet and, their book and, personalized message. But it's really important to distinguish yourself. That's why I love the power of a brand. And if you really take the time and have a good brand, then you don't have the sales reluctance.
True. Yes, it builds that credibility and that trust. And people come, I like to say 80% sold.
They do, because they see you've done the work up front. It's like, oh my God, look at the messaging. I'm seeing her everywhere. I want to work with her. And that's what a good brand does. And, people ask me all the time, well, who needs a brand? Everyone. Needs especially if we're all competing for the same eyeballs. We're all looking for that same attention currency. The currency online is attention. How do you do it? Your brand is, I love the way Rory Vaden says this, your brand is your reputation digitized.
So good. That's really good.
I wish I said it. It's Rory Vaden. He's a genius.
Oh, it's so great. And see, you're getting more than just Lea, because she hangs out with very high level people. So she gets all of that great
Well, one of the things that you have to do is once you get your brand, you still have to be the perpetual student. Because as soon as you figure it out, the game changes.
100%.
So you have to have a flexible mindset, and you also have to have a flexible brand.
Yes.
Because like everything else, it's cyclical.
But go ahead.
but it needs to be timeless. But I don't mean the brand's going to evolve, but the way maybe you market the brand might.
Right. I mean, marketing strategies change, and we know what worked years ago doesn't work anymore. And so you do have to stay at the top of what is going on in the marketplace. But she just shared something very high level. I know I've been wanting to start an Expert in You magazine, and that's on my plans for.
I'd love to help you with that.
We're going to talk. And so when you do something like that, you said there are only 7,500. That leaves the door wide open. The one thing that we really want to encourage people about is when you are building that power and that luxury brand, it truly is about completely setting yourself apart from everyone else and getting out of the mainstream, elevating that brand, doing bigger things, just like the celebrities that she's having on her magazine, that she's connecting with, all of those things. You have to do that in the marketplace today if you're going to play a bigger game. And tell us the steps to, if you were going to kind of lay out a strategy for someone on how to, because I help people elevate their brands too, but I don't do what you do, Lea. You have a lot of different things that you do. You help people elevate their speaking career and do speaking reels. You have an event where you are actually doing speaker reels for people. You're putting them in a studio. And so you do a lot of different things. How do you determine for people what is going to be the best fit? Because I know you're a strategist as well. And how do you make those determinations? What will work for someone, for who their audience is?
Well, first of all, I just interviewed Robert Kiyosaki, and it was a great conversation. And it really is all about the basics. 40 years he has been doing Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He is still passionate about it. We were talking about continuing education. Again, his focus, his vehicle is real estate. So he's constantly learning. And the other thing is, he stays with it. He stays in his lane. People get bored. They get tired of saying the same thing. Figure out a way to say it differently, but stay on message. That's the biggest thing. I think people have squirrel, shiny car, whatever it is. Somebody else is doing something, so they jump 3 lanes and try. And they're probably closer to the field goal than they think. And then they've jumped lanes, and then they've lost all credibility.
So good, because we do see that. And you cannot build a power brand if you're jumping around and there's inconsistency in all of your digital assets and marketing, because it's so easy for people to fire up Google. And if all of a sudden they see that you do all these different things and they're not connected, and what we're talking about is a disconnect here in a business. So if I'm building a brand, and even though I'm a coach and I'm a consultant for coaches and consultants to play at a high level, to get high level clients, Expert in You, the magazine still works, the books still work, the helping them build speaking, getting online, building a podcast, all of those things still work because they're things that will elevate their business, get them clients. And so they're all connected. So there's not a disconnect out there with the different things that I talk about: marketing, sales, business. And it's the same with you. So it doesn't mean you can't play in other arenas. It means they need to be cohesive. Do you agree with that?
I 100% agree. And it took me a while, quite frankly, when I did my luxury media brands, because I've had Smart Femme Media Group for a long time, but I realized that my market had changed. So my brand needed to change. But there are certain things that I do. I still love television. So, I still do on-camera interviews, but everything's really focused on what I do. I stay in my lane. And, people ask me, well, how does thought leaders and celebrities work into that? Because they have amazing brands.
Yes, absolutely.
So
you play in the luxury market as well, and
yes, I do.
That fits. Absolutely.
I market my husband's jet charter company, and that's all luxury. And rather than trying to straddle 2 target demographics, what I did was decided to elevate Speaker Life magazine, and I'm going after the thought leaders that are on the cover. The John Maxwell's, the Robert Kiyosaki's, the people with the names for that magazine. Why? Because it's going to bring attention to the other people in the magazine, and people will read it cover to cover. This is not an ad-driven magazine. This is content-driven.
Yes, I love it. And that's what people are looking for today. Even large companies are looking for to drive content. And even if you go out and speak, they're looking for content-rich speakers. They're not looking for the motivational speaker anymore. Those days are gone. It's like now everyone's playing in the market. They want true value. They want the gold delivered. They want something that's going to impact. And so if they're going to lay down the money for that, they want impact and they want real content. And so I love that you're sharing that. Lea, okay, so if somebody's sitting there and they're really wanting to build and monetize, and you and I, and this is a really good tip for everyone too, even though Lea and I do some things similar, we're still very, very different. And so we can collaborate like this because there's no competition. In fact, we've already talked about how can we do some things together, right? And so I want you to open up your mind. When you're going from 6 figures to 7 figures to multiple 7 figures, which is what this summit is all about, you have to start thinking about collaboration versus competition. But you still have competition and you still want to set yourself apart from them. But a lot of times the way you build is through collaboration, and it's just like the summit that we're doing right now. But if someone is sitting there and they haven't taken these steps, and well, Lea, that's easy for you. You were on the news. You were
You think so? No, actually, I'm just going to say that's not true, Ann, because I was doing a job I was paid to do. You know, I was telling somebody else's news. When you're building your own brand and you're doing your own stuff, or even a Facebook Live, then you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
That's true.
And you're flying your freak flag, if you will. You're being vulnerable, and you're allowing other people to come into your life. And it was scary for me. I've done live television for years, but again, I was telling somebody else's story. When it's your story, it's really personal. Now it's secondhand because I've been doing it for so long.
And she's so amazing too. She's so fun to watch. Yes.
Thank you. But people love video. So I'm going to encourage you, once you kind of get your brand dialed in, practice on your phone, get used to talking on camera, because that's how we get, we watch our news through sound bites now.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you're talking about that, because I work with a lot of people they're doctors and they're lawyers and they're executives, and they want to come into the coaching and consulting space and they don't have any idea where to go. And I always say going from employee to entrepreneurship is a completely different game. And that is what you're talking about. You went from being a paid employee, even though that was your job to be in front, to be out front and on camera. All of a sudden now you're an entrepreneur and you've got to navigate all of these different things that go into entrepreneurship. It's not just about looking pretty and telling somebody's story, right? There's all these things that you had to learn. What was that like for you, Lea? Because I know we've been connected now for a few years. I'm trying to remember how long, but what was that like for you? Maybe you could just talk about even getting to like that first 6 figures in your business and then really multiplying that. Where did you see the shifts in that process?
Well, I had an interesting thing happen to me. I lost my face in 2011 and I was on camera talent. So I built Smartphone Media Group because I didn't have a face for about 11 months. It was 5 surgeries putting me back together again. So I actually had to sell from the phone, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah. After my 3rd surgery, I mean, literally, this is all reconstruction. It was 11 months and 5 surgeries. I think 22 surgeons putting me back together again. And that was my job, being on camera. So I didn't have that job.
So you lost your identity.
I did. I lost my income. I lost my marriage. I lost my identity. And for a brief time, I lost my will to live. I mean, I'm 49 years old.
Yeah.
I have no path to a career, because I was on camera talent. But I made a promise in 2009, 2 years ago, prior to this, that I would create something that would educate, empower, and inspire women. And the only thing that I could do was an online magazine, because it wouldn't be about me and I wouldn't have to show up. I could promote other people. Yeah. And honestly, because I didn't have anything else going on, it had to work, and it did work. And it really worked for a long time. We bought a couple of houses off of it and did really well. But my consumer changed. And when your consumer changes, my brand changed. That is now my parent company, and Luxury Media Brands is under that.
Okay. So first of all, do you care to share any more of that story, how that happened?
I had a rare form of skin cancer. They had never seen it on anyone under the age of 80, and I was 49 years old. But I played tennis, and I was in junior sail club, and they didn't have sunscreen. They figured I contracted this, and it was lying dormant since the age of 6. And I'm blonde, and I like light eyes and everything, so I'm the perfect candidate. But it was really scary. And then to have my husband file for divorce after the 3rd surgery, I can't even tell you.
Oh my gosh.
I had a loaded Glock 23 in my closet, but I knew it would be my boys that found me. So that was a fleeting thought. And I realized, it was that promise I made to Lauren, my daughter, that I really want to see the glass ceiling gone for women in my lifetime.
I love it. What a mission. What a great mission. And I think that's where all of our hearts are. It's like, I talk about money all the time. But money is a tool. It's a resource. It's how we measure our success. It is. And you don't have to be connected to it, right? And when you know how to make it, you definitely don't have to be connected to it, and you can give it away, and you can impact more people.
And then you're not as stressed by it either.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah. When you're in desperate mode, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the idea here is to not be in desperate mode and to do the things that you need to, because look, we can build wealth with business. And we have so much opportunity with business. And that's what this summit is all around. It's around raising your influence. It's around skyrocketing your business growth and unlock wealth opportunities. And you heard Lea say, I bought 2 homes. I bought two properties with what she was doing. And she found a way. And so I want to hit on that too, because your story, first of all, is absolutely amazing and so powerful. And I love your resilience, and I love your tenacity to not give up, and also to find a way. And it's like, and then those things started finding you, right? When you started taking the actions and doing things, other things unlocked. And that is really the opportunity that we have in front of us today.
I really agree with that. And I believe that, first of all, action, it is a verb.
It is.
It's like driving down the road at night. You have the headlights on. You can't see the entire road, but the farther you drive, the more you see. And yes. I believe taking action in your business is the same way, because you can't do a course correction unless you take action.
Right.
And I believe the magic's in the action, but I also believe a lot of this is mindset stuff too. And I know because I had to work on my mindset. You know, I was raised in the South, and women were the weaker sex. You know, I was the son my dad. You know, I was at 7, but he always let me know he wanted a boy. And you know what? I did my best that I could, but I like being a woman. I'm going to just say, I like being a woman, and I like being a successful woman. And I love helping others, and I'm doing my best to keep this mission, that promise that I made in 2009 to my then freshman daughter at NAU, that I would find a way to use my contacts and my influence to help women so that they don't have the same issues that I had. And let me just tell you what happens, you know, in the workplace. For those of you who haven't worked, the more successful you are, and this is still going on right now, the more they'll take it away from you, give it to somebody else, pay a man for more money, and then give you a crappy territory and you got to start all over again. So I leverage the media to build my personal brand so that I can start my own gig.
Well, and you have done a phenomenal job, which is why I'm just so grateful to have you on here. So let's dive into some real strategy here. We talked about the magazine. You talked about celebrities. And one of the things you said is just ask. So do you need a big following to get a magazine started to ask a celebrity to be on the cover?
I would say get a couple of the magazines under your belt first.
Okay.
Because I didn't when I asked Jack Canfield in 2019, and I'm embarrassed of that cover. I did it in Canva.
But you got him on the cover?
I got him on the cover.
Lea, that's more than most people would even do. So yeah, so we're always going to be our own worst critic.
No, but I did also go to one of my sponsors who had been sponsoring me on Amazon Prime. He goes, ugh. No, he goes, when you get this to the same level as your videos, then come back and talk to us again. So I did. I really took it to heart. I spent the next 5 months really understanding it. The technology changed in 2019. I always wanted to do print, even with smartphone, but the technology wasn't there yet in 2011. So the technology has changed. And it's, with short run printing, it is so much more affordable. You don't have to buy 50,000 magazines and keep them in your garage anymore.
Right. And kind of like a book, too. I heard someone say the other day that they were talking to speakers, and they said some of the speakers, to get their book to bestseller, they had boxes and boxes of books, of their own books, in their, in their attic or in their basement or whatever. And we don't have to do, the digital world has completely changed all of that.
The digital world has been a game changer, but I really love, I love the way, there's just something magical about print. This is Legacy Quarterly. Yeah. Kevin Sorbo, he was we used heavy stock paper, which is part of the brand. So it's like Vogue paper. It's heavy duty. It's beautiful. Suzanne Summers, they were both so impressed. Suzanne, who does organic skincare now, sent me 2 giant boxes. She loved it so much and has an ad for the entire year. So does Kevin Sorbo for his faith-based films. So when you over-deliver for people, they're going to respond.
Yes.
These are celebrities,
Yes.
So,
Lea, you're a rock star. You are just a rock star.
Well, my husband didn't think so. He called my now husband. He called me. He goes, "What did you order from Suzanne Summers? There are 2 giant boxes here."
Oh,
I said, "I didn't order anything." And
for once, I didn't spend money, honey.
I know. He opened it up, and the products covered our entire formal dining room table. What a generous, sweet person.
Wow.
And they love the magazine. But, it's all about them.
Yes. Yes.
And as entrepreneurs, I think that we think it's all about us. It's so not about us.
Never. It's never about us.
It's about whoever's on the cover, and it's about the readers and the advertisers. It's about everybody but you.
Yes, it is. That's so true. And when you do that in the right way, the money will come, and you will also be building, because nobody wants to just do all this work and not have anything come back to them, right? That's not what we're talking about here. But what she's
and when you bring the value up front, the money always comes.
Exactly, 100%.
And sometimes it's boxes of skincare products.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. That's a great story. So let's dive into some real strategy here. We're talking about we've talked about building a brand, congruency, luxury, going after celebrities, maybe starting the magazine. We talked about the fact that Lea does speaker reels, and she runs these events where they put people on a stage and they film it. So there's a lot of the high-end things that Lea has already talked about, but let's talk about some of the monetization of all of this. Like, what is all this for? I want to know how I can turn this into income, into revenue. So Lea, do you want to dive into that a little bit?
Sure. What I really love about the branding piece is and not everybody wants to do a magazine or has the wherewithal to do a magazine, and that's okay. But if you have a really great brand, and I'm talking about great photographs, great messaging, and the clarity comes through. So people automatically know who you are, who you serve, the problem that you fix, and how you can help them. It has to be about them.
Yes.
And your brand has to appeal, but you have to have that clarity up front. And this is the biggest problem that I see with most new entrepreneurs and speakers too, is when I ask them, who's your target demographic? Oh, I'm a fit for everybody.
Right.
That's the kiss of death. Really, when you get focused and you're really clear, and who your target demographic, what their psychodemographic is, where they hang out, who they hang out with, and where they are on social media, that's where you can really, really go after them. But your brand has to reflect that you're on par with them.
Yes. I always say you can't, because I help people get, higher fees and things like that. You cannot get Lamborghini prices if you look like the cheap used car. So there is that.
It absolutely is. And your brand actually evokes an emotional response. So you want to make sure it's the right emotional response.
This is true. The Lamborghini versus the cheap used car. Yes, absolutely. So how can people monetize a magazine? And then what are some of the other ways that you help people monetize their brands? Let's just talk about some strategy here.
Well, for magazines, it's pretty simple. Again, the way I use it for me and several of my clients is we're able to get advertising dollars. We're able to JV partnerships, putting us on other stages, but we're also able to get sponsorships.
Yes.
So I leverage it for those things. And then there's just people that want to buy their way into the magazine. And they have to be good enough. They have to be vetted. You do have to have a vetting process when you get to a certain level. And people ask me all the time, how do I get on the cover? You have to be a thought leader and you have to, I've really made that shift now and I'm not going to back down because the way to get the magazine read cover to cover and to get advertising dollars is to attract people that have an audience that I want to reach. And so I'm very mindful of that. But I provide amazing content on branding, on how to get on stages. And it's not just me, it's people, other experts, like you, Ann, how to be an expert. How to be an expert, when you're applying for a stage, how to be one of their go-to experts, whether it be speaking or being a panelist. So I'm fortunate that I can attract really high quality people that I want to learn from.
Right.
I'm still a student. I don't know everything. I'm good.
We don't ever quit being a student if we want to stay at the top of our game.
It's so true. You have to be a perpetual student, but you have to really know who you are. And you have to have that clarity up front because you can't build a brand until you do. And it's funny because I had a conversation with, doctors and lawyers. Well, I'm a doctor, I'm a plastic surgeon, I'm a lawyer. Why do I need a brand? Of course you need a brand. The more expensive your product or service is, that's when you really need good branding.
Absolutely.
Because your product or service is that much more, it's higher than everybody else's and you have competition. So you want to set yourself apart from your competitors. So
100%. And, speaking of a doctor, does everyone know that guy, Dr. Oz?
Yep. We all know.
Everyone knows him, right? A doctor, right? But what did he do? He went into the media. He put himself out there. He built this incredible brand. And now that brand, it just speaks for itself. He's a household name. People know him. I mean, we could name numerous people. We talked about Robert Kiyosaki. We can name numerous people where people know who they are but it's all started with it really taking the mindset to build that brand up and be seen everywhere. So
it is. And your mind, everything starts with your mindset.
It does.
You start with your mindset, then you get the clarity, and then you build the brand.
Yes. So good. And so Lea has a giveaway for you, which is going to be spectacular. And I can't wait for you to get this from her. Lea, would you like to share what that is?
Sure. Well, first of all, you're going to get two things from me. You are going to get a digital copy of Branded Luxury. Great content in there on not only marketing, but how to work with influencers. A lot of information in there. But the other thing that I'm going to do, which I never do, but is I will do a website evaluation, which is really important, because when people go on your website and they have to try and figure out what you do, they're going to hop right off. You have 3 seconds to capture their attention and get an emotional response. It's either wow or I got to get off here, Yes. So it's really important, and it's the biggest mistake I see with most people making, Ann, quite frankly, is they're overwhelming people. They do a lot of things. I do a lot of things too, but I'm very strategic on how my website is laying out.
Yes. And again, that's where we talk about all that congruency and having everything be related, so that, again, it adds to your brand. It powers up your brand. It doesn't take away or distract from your brand.
No, we don't want to distract. What we want to do is attract.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Lea, this has been so wonderful. It's been so fun talking with you about this. I mean, we could talk about this all day long, I know.
Oh, we could. We have the same passion. We will one of these days.
We will. We have the same passion. So this has been fun. You dropped the gold. I love, too, that I'm hoping that you expanded people's vision and their mindset around what is possible. And I think one of the power statements you said is, I ask.
I get my ask in gear. I do.
Yes.
I do. My ask in gear. And can I just say one thing to your viewing audience, Ann, that this is so important. When people ask you what you do, please do not say, I help them. And this is really important, because what happens when you say help? People automatically think free. So I want you to, before you answer that question, say something like, people hire me to create amazing branding so that their message lands properly with the right audience at the right time, succinctly.
That is gold right there. If you didn't stay until the end, you just missed it. I love it, Lea. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so gracious and being on here, and your free giveaways. Go get that free giveaway. I mean, that to have somebody in her element to really look at your website and tell you what can be changed and how you can start elevating things, that is such a gift. So take advantage of that. And Lea, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It was just so wonderful to have you.
No, thank you, Ann. My pleasure.
If you've enjoyed this show, then I want to invite you to check out a free automated webinar where I show you how you can bring in ultra high fee clients for $25,000 to $125,000 or even more. I show you how you can do this maybe even in the next 7 to 60 days. So if you want to check out that free webinar, just go to expertinyouaccelerator.com and I'll see you on the inside. You have an amazing day, and until next time, God bless you. Go rock your business.